phone rang. It was 2:47 a.m. and Anna knew something was wrong. The number on the screen wasn't recognizable. It was a sequence of zeros and static, flickering as if the call itself wasn't supposed to exist. Trembling, she answered it, only to hear a voice she thought she'd never hear again. Her mother's voice, who had died 5 years ago. Anna's heart pounded as she held the phone to her ear. The voice was unmistakable, yet impossible. Her mother's soft, familiar tone, laced with urgency and fear, whispered through the static. "Anna, you have to listen. There isn't much time," the voice said. Anna's mind raced. This couldn't be real. Her mother had passed away in a tragic car accident 5 years earlier. She had grieved, moved on, or so she thought. But now, it was as if the years had melted away, and she was a child again, clinging to the sound of her mother's comforting voice. "Who is this?" Anna stammered, her voice breaking. "How are you doing this?" There was a moment of silence, broken only by the crackling sound of interference. It was as if the call was struggling to stay connected, pulled between two worlds. "Anna, I don't have much time," the voice said again, now tinged with desperation. "You're in danger. He's coming for you. You need to leave the house now." Fear gripped Anna's chest. She looked around her dark living room, suddenly feeling exposed, vulnerable. "Who's coming for me? What do you mean?" The line crackled again, and then there was a sound that sent chills down her spine. The unmistakable screech of metal, like a car crash replaying in her ear. It was the same sound she had heard the night her mother died, the same sound that haunted her nightmares. Before she could ask any more questions, the line went dead. Anna stood frozen, the silence of the room now deafening. Her mind raced with possibilities, a cruel prank, a glitch, a fragment of her own grief echoing back at her. But something deep inside her, a primal instinct, told her that this was real, that her mother, or whatever this was, had tried to warn her. Her phone buzzed again, jolting her out of her thoughts. Another call from the same strange number. She hesitated, her thumb hovering over the screen. Should she answer it? What if it was another warning? Taking a deep breath, she swiped to accept the call. "Anna," her mother's voice came through, now clearer but filled with fear. "He's inside the house. You need to run." Anna's blood ran cold. She felt the air shift behind her, the hair on the back of her neck standing up as if she was being watched. Slowly she turned around. There was nothing there, just the darkness and the faint outline of the hallway leading to her bedroom. "Mom," she whispered into the phone, her voice barely audible. "Who's inside the house?" But there was no response, only silence, followed by a soft, chilling laugh, a man's laugh. The call disconnected. Anna's hands shook as she set the phone down. Her breathing was ragged, her mind racing with a mix of terror and disbelief. Was someone really in her house? Or was this some kind of twisted hallucination? Suddenly she heard it, the soft creak of a floorboard. It was coming from the hallway. Her survival instincts kicked in. She grabbed a kitchen knife from the counter and moved quietly, pressing herself against the wall, trying to make herself as small and invisible as possible. She strained her ears, listening for any sign of movement. There it was again, a faint, almost imperceptible sound, like the rustle of fabric, coming closer. Anna's heart pounded in her chest. She had two options: confront whoever was there, or try to escape through the back door. But before she could decide, her phone buzzed once more, lighting up the dark room like a beacon. She glanced at the screen. "Mom," it read, with her mother's old contact photo, a picture she hadn't seen in years. This couldn't be real. It had to be some kind of sick joke. But then, how did they get her mother's photo? How did they know? With a trembling hand, she answered the call. "Anna." Her mother's voice was urgent now, almost frantic. "He's right behind you." Without thinking, Anna spun around, swinging the knife wildly. It sliced through the air, hitting nothing but emptiness. But the laugh came again, closer this time, echoing through the darkness. "You can't run from me," a deep, malevolent voice whispered, the sound reverberating as if it was all around her. Anna bolted. She sprinted down the hallway, slamming the door to her bedroom shut behind her. She locked it and pressed her back against it, panting, trying to catch her breath. Her phone buzzed again. She didn't want to look, didn't want to answer, but she couldn't stop herself. She glanced at the screen. Unknown caller. She answered it, tears streaming down her face. "What do you want from me?" she screamed into the phone. "You can't hide, Anna," the voice said. "I'm already here." The lights in her room flickered, casting long, twisted shadows across the walls. Her reflection in the mirror seemed to warp, the face staring back at her, not entirely her own. "Please," Anna whispered, her voice breaking. "Why are you doing this?" The phone went silent. Then her mother's voice came through, soft and filled with sorrow. "I'm sorry, Anna. I tried to warn you." The call ended, and the room plunged into darkness. For a moment, there was nothing but silence. Then she heard the slow, deliberate footsteps approaching her door. The handle jiggled once, twice, before the lock clicked open on its own. The door creaked as it swung open, revealing nothing but the inky blackness of the hallway. Anna stepped back, her hands shaking, the knife slipping from her grip and clattering to the floor. A figure stepped out of the darkness, a tall, shadowy man with no distinct features, just a presence that exuded pure malevolence. He reached out a hand, and as his fingers brushed her cheek, it was as if the life drained from her body. Her vision blurred, her strength fading. The last thing she heard before the darkness took her was the soft, familiar voice of her mother, whispering one final time. "Goodbye, Anna." The phone fell from her hand, the screen cracked and flickering. It buzzed one last time, displaying the same message it had started with. The last call. And then there was nothing but silence.